Is it spiritual?
It kind of is a little bit, but more in like mind is like, some people might call mind God, but mind is like the universal source of energy that gives life to everything. But it's what we connect with when we're little babies and we learn to walk and talk. Nobody teaches how to walk or talk. And we kind of connect with this. We just learn how to do it by copying the adults and getting encouraged. No one teaches how to talk. We learn how to talk by copying and wanting to. So we kind of tap into this innate intelligence, if you like. So you could argue that, well, that's quite spiritual.
Good evening, everyone in Australia. Good morning to those in the UK and in America. When you wake up, you'll be watching this. This is the Connect Unplugged Podcast number 49 with Kallum and Conor. And today we have two incredible guests. We have Steve K and Callie Fraser, all the way zooming in from the UK. Welcome, and Kallum will share with the world a little bit more about you.
Thanks, Conor. Today's guests are shaking up how we think, lead, and grow both in business and in life. We're joined by Steve K and Callie Fraser, the powerhouse duo behind Quality Culture and NLPUKtraining.com, a leading force in transformational NLP coaching and leadership development. Their work spans from boardrooms to personal breakthroughs, helping thousands of people build rock-solid belief, communicate with clarity, and lead with the heart. Whether it's guiding corporate leaders, training the next generation of coaches, or delivering their game-changing 3 principles coaching program, Steve and Callie are on a mission to create deep, lasting change in how we live and how we work. In this episode, we'll talk about the mindset shifts that unlock potential, how NLP and coaching can reshape your reality, and what it really takes to build a quality culture from the inside out. Welcome, guys. It's great to have you.
Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. It looks like it's sunny up there at the moment. Is that a lie, or is it actually sunny over there?
It's kind of, well, I'm in a t-shirt, but it's about 18 degrees. Bit of cloud,
Brilliant.
bit of
It's
cloud, bit of wind.
balmy for the UK.
It must be roasting
Positively
then.
balmy.
Shirts off at the park, getting a tan. Brilliant.
It's the barbecue weather here, Conor.
Yeah, barbecue weather.
We barbecue in the rain, Connor,
Yeah.
with charcoal.
Well, we are super happy and pleased and excited to have you both here. This is the second podcast, I think, Kallum, that we've had two guests at once. So we will do our best to extract as much as we can from both of you. But tell us a little bit about the journey that is Quality Culture / NLP, UK NLP Training.com. How did that all come about? When did it start? What led up to it? And has it always been the type of business that it is now? Has it always been an NLP training business, or did it have different roots to begin with?
It had different roots to begin with. So it started off in the end of 2000. I came from a manufacturing background and business improvement, quality assurance in various manufacturing sectors. And the organization I was working with decided that they wanted to pull out of working with the customers they were working with and reshape and change. I worked for 4 of the businesses. I'd just done a manufacturing master's degree for 3 years. And I decided that I wanted to work for myself, do my own thing. I didn't want to be at the mercy, if you like, of someone else who can take a organization chart and say, we don't need that one, we don't need that one, let's go and do this. So I decided I wanted to be in charge of my own destiny. So we set up a kind of business improvement consultancy, but I also had a yearning to train in leadership and emotional intelligence and personal effectiveness. And I'd done quite a lot of training with an organization called JCs, which was international, but kind of shrank quite a lot in the 90s. I did a lot of active hours personal development, learned to train with them. And so it was a natural progression, really, to create a leadership training business, personal effectiveness training, but also be doing consulting to bring sales in at the same time.
Yeah.
And then in 2004, we became what's called an Institute of Leadership and Management Centre, which meant we could offer qualifications with our leadership training.
Mhm.
Then two of the best trainers that I know in the UK, had both done their NLP practitioner course. So I thought, well, I should do the NLP practitioner course. And my wife said, why do NLP? That's for counselling and therapy. And I said, no, it's not. I've been listening to this and it's not at all. So I contacted Lorna at Bruce Farrow's training.
You came through Bruce. Okay.
I came through Bruce and went on my first practitioner in Leeds in end of 2006. And then I went to coach this on one of Bruce's other courses.
Mhm.
And I decided I want to do this training as well as leadership training. I dropped the consultancy a couple of years before. I decided I wanted to have leadership training with corporates. And at the time we worked with people like Rico, Empower, and the NHS. And I decided this would be good additions to the business to have like an NLP training
Mhm.
that would go on about 4 times a year alongside the corporate training. So I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And I signed it. Bruce hadn't become a master trainer at the time. So I booked on his master practitioner course in January 2008, and where I met Sheila Patel.
Sheila. Sheila used to work with Lenka,
Sheila-
actually.
She was, Sheila
Yeah.
was one of the delegates with me, as was Chrissy Dawson. She was another delegate
Yes.
on that master practitioner training from Manchester and Greece, and had a great time. And then I booked through Bogdan, it was, on the Trends training with Helen and Adriana the following year. And I've got a little boy, well, I had a little boy, he was 5 at the time. And we thought it'd be better to go away for 4.5, 5 weeks in the summer, go on some holidays. So that's why I went to Vegas. And before I went to Vegas, I'd already got my first practitioner set up in Nottingham.
I've been to
where
Nottingham.
David works
I went
now.
there recently.
Yeah, you've been to Nottingham. Yeah, well, I ran my first practitioner training in October
Cool.
of 2009. And I met Adriana, and she was saying, you're going to do your training like Bruce, and she was asking me questions about what I was going to do. Have you got any people booked on? I said, yeah, I've got a course. I've got 3 people. So she said, have they paid? And I said, yes. I think we ended up with 7. It was either 7 or 9. I can't remember what we had on my first course. Then we booked another one in January in Birmingham. So we kind of ran Nottingham, Birmingham, and then we branched out to Leeds and Manchester as well.
That's sort of the Midlands area. Is that considered the Midlands?
Yeah,
in the UK?
Midlands, and then Manchester and Leeds, where all the good football teams come from.
Brilliant. And then you hit the ground running. And when did Callie join? You were quality culture at that time, or you NLP Training UK?
Yeah, quality culture, but we had a website that was NLPUKtraining.com as well as the qualityculture.com. So we ran the NLP alongside the corporate leadership training, and we recruited a full-time leadership trainer who came with a company car and a pension and all that goes with it.
Dental plan, yeah.
So she was with us for nearly 10 years.
Okay.
And we expanded through government organisations. We did a lot of work for the MOD.
What's the MOD for?
The Ministry of Defence.
In the UK.
We were doing leadership training for the Ministry of Defence. But
fantastic.
It was it didn't light up our souls, Callie and I found. But maybe Callie should take over and she could talk about how she joined.
Yeah, what a fascinating story, Steve. Thank you very much for sharing. I just before Callie shares, I would imagine there would have been a few times where you would have, and this is a complete mind read, so reject it if it doesn't apply. But were there times, maybe is the right question, where you sort of doubted, or you thought, should I be going in this direction? Should I be leaving my security of employment to start up my own consulting and training business, and then pivoting using into the NLP market, which is somewhat of a niche market? It certainly was back then.
Yeah, well, I reflect on this when I was doing my 3Ps training, and I came across a story about Steve Jobs, and apparently he did a calligraphy course when he was in his late teens. Then later on, Mac came out with all the different fonts, and that skill he had was something he developed early on. And I kind of came to the conclusion that for all my adult life, I'd been pursuing my art's desire. And so I used to DJ in a nightclub and run 2 mobile discos. And I think that enabled me to, I know, start laughing.
DJ Steve K's in the house.
Good night, God bless.
All right, well, we have Duran coming right up.
About my colleague in Ibiza. So anyway, so that got me into public speaking, which got me into training, because somebody said, "You'd make a good trainer. Why don't you go on this trends course?" That was 1986, and I kind of dabbled in it. And then when the time came to set my own business up, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Fantastic.
And I think I've kind of followed that heart's desire all the way through. And a couple of years ago, I decided I don't really want to be chasing corporates anymore. I don't mind if a corporate comes to us and they want some leadership NLP development, then we'll discover what their needs are and what they want. But we're not going to go out hunting anymore because it's too much like hard work.
Yeah. Well, you have to love what you do, otherwise you'll find
reasons to do it or find reasons not to do it. Absolutely love.
Steve, I didn't know you were a DJ. We share something in common. I used to be a DJ in Gothenburg back in 2002, 2003. DJing and pouring pints and making cocktails in at the Dancing Dingo in Gothenburg. An Aussie pub in Gothenburg. Who would have thought? Fascinating. So, did you say you used to be a DJ, Callie?
Yeah, I was a house DJ back in the day.
Oh, no way.
Really? I love house music, by the way.
We moved house about 18 months ago, and both me and my other half were both house DJs. So we got out all the old white labels in our decks and the speakers before we kind of packed them back in the loft. And when we moved into the house, we had a bit of a house party.
Oh my God, I would have loved to be in that.
It was great.
What year are we talking?
Oh, for me, it was a very long time ago because I'm old. So I started DJing probably back in 1989, 90.
House music.
About 94.
All right. So
a long time ago.
So Utah Saints, is that sort of
oh yeah.
Back then? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
There was some quite underground house that I played, so most of it no one will have heard of unless they were in the kind of clubs that I was in back in my youth.
That's classic.
I would love to hear that one day.
And after DJing, you went, because I know your background was dancing.
Kind of my original background. So once I kind of got over, so basically when I was a teenager and I was doing my A-levels, I had a moment and said, this is not for me. So at 17, I got on a flight at Gatwick Airport, phoned my mother from the airport and said, I'm just about to get a flight. I'll see you when I see you. And flew to Lanzarote in the Canary Islands, and just went traveling and DJ'd and had loads of fun, worked in bars. And when I came back, that was when I kind of went back to education, went back and did my degree. I'd always wanted to be a psychotherapist. And I did my degree in psychology, and I just thought, do you know what? This stuff doesn't work. I just didn't believe that it helped people in the way that I thought it should. There was something missing for me. So I walked away from it and went into sales. I got my first sales job on a phone in a call center, doing business-to-business telemarketing, appointment setting, lead generation for businesses. And actually, found that I was really good at it. I think I did over 200% of target in my first week. And it was like, okay, no training, just got on the phone and talked to people. Which kind of, as Steve says, that heart's desire, there's something for me around talking to people all the way through my career, no matter what I've done. And I got to a stage with that, I kind of climbed the ladder, I ended up, a telemarketing manager for that business, moved into another business as a senior leader, corporate world. And it just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. I think I'd taken it as far as I could take it. And I'd always had a hankering to kind of run my own business. And I found dancing. Who knew? That kid that couldn't catch a ball in school and was told, you're no good at sports, went to a dance class, thought, this is really, really good fun. So I got better and better and thought, do you know what? I could start a business doing this. So I started a Ciroc franchise, which you've got in Australia as well. You've got Ciroc in Australia, if you want to check that out in Sydney. And basically gave it all up. And everyone said, Callie, you are mad. You're 6 months away from a directorship with your organization. Stick it out. I was like, nah. I want to do something that I really feel passionate about. So my income went from here to here. My happiness went from here to sky high. And that taught me a really, really good lesson. If you enjoy what you do, you really don't work. Someone said that to me early on in my career, but that really cemented it for me. But then back in 20...
So is that so? Did Steve come along for some dancing lessons?
No,
and that's how you met.
He has had some dance lessons. We might use that as modeling on our master practitioner to teach them that. But no, basically I got arthritis.
You got a what? Sorry? Arthritis. Okay.
So merrily going away, and then my ankle started to swell up, and the GP said, just take some paracetamol, just take some Nurofen, you'll be absolutely fine. And I knew there was something wrong with my body. And it took me over a year to get a diagnosis. But I can remember sitting in that consultant's office and I'm saying, maximum, even if we throw all the drugs at you, you've maybe got 5 years. So that was when I started Googling, right, I've got to get a job.
When you say you've got 5 years, what's...
I've been dancing.
Okay.
So I was dancing at a professional level, probably 60 hours a week, which for my joints just wasn't sustainable.
Professional level meaning you were in like shows?
Yeah, I was teaching. We had one of the biggest dance companies in the UK.
Wow. Okay.
We were running 11 class nights a week and doing workshops every weekend, freestyles. It was full on. So when they said I had only a few years left to dance, I thought, well, I've got to do something here. So I found Quality Culture's website, found NLP UK training website. I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll go and take my coaching qualifications. I'm going to go back to corporate. Maybe as a trainer, maybe as a senior leader, maybe coaching people within organizations. So I signed up for NLP, phoned Lorna up. She booked me on my practitioner with Steve. And I told this story to Steve on day one of the program.
That was 2017, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2017, yeah. And I said to Steve in the morning that this was what I wanted to do, go back into corporate. By about halfway through the afternoon, he said, just remind me why you wanted to do the course. I said, because I think I want to go and get a job back in corporate. And he just laughed. Because he kind of clocked my number very, very quickly. By day 2, I'd phoned Lorna and said, this is just amazing. Book me in for master practitioner. And actually, I think I'd found with NLP that missing link that I was looking for with psychology.
With the psychology, yeah.
We could get really, really fast, life-changing results with people. And it made such a difference to the people that I was working with on the course, but also to me. I transformed completely in that 7-day practitioner course, let alone what I've then gone on to transform with the master practitioner and also with 3 principles. So it was very congruent for me to want to then go out and do that with other people. And I basically kept turning up at Steve's courses until he gave me something to do. I turned up in Leeds, in Manchester, in Birmingham, and it's like, are you here again? Yeah, I want more. I want more. Bring me more of this stuff.
We ran the NLP and coaching convention, didn't we?
Yeah.
I asked for volunteers who might like to be involved in organising it. And you were the only one.
I was. So I was given that opportunity to kind of support with the convention. And then a couple of months later, Steve said to me, why aren't you doing your NLP trainers training? And I said, well, I don't want to set myself up in competition with you. And he said, well, that's an easy win. Come and work with me, not against me. So I'd looked at a couple of different organizations, and then Lorna said, Callie, just phone Conor. I know you don't want to go to Australia, but just phone Conor. It's like, okay, just to shut Lorna off.
Lorna's awesome. But for those of you who are listening, Lorna Maskell is an absolute star. I met Lorna in 2006, and I hired her, and she worked with me in Sydney for about 6 months, and then moved to the UK, worked with Bruce Farrow, and now she's working with Steve. There seems to be such a Lorna is like, she's hopefully watching. So, Lorna, you're an absolute glue of a connection maker with many people. So I want to acknowledge Lorna here.
Oh,
And also
100%.
about Lorna is that she lives an authentic life. So Lorna's highest value is freedom. So she said to me, oh, Steve, I'm going to the Caribbean. I can take calls from there and follow up emails, and I'll work in the morning and I'll go on the beach in the afternoon. This was 2012. And then the following year, I think she went to live with her sister in Australia for a couple of months, and she carried on working there. And then a few years later, she bought a minibus thing, a Volkswagen VW popped up.
Cool.
Okay. But I'm going to live in Spain for 6 months. Okay. So by this time I got used to kind of Lorna remote working and but she's a great example for people who are a bit stuck in their lives, who like Callie was, who want to kind of express themselves, but they're not really sure what they're looking for. And of course they speak to Lorna, and she said, oh, I'm sorry, the call didn't come through straight away, but I'll phone you back. And I'm currently living in Spain. And that's down to doing NLP. So she lives it. So people want to listen to what she's got to say. So she gives them the information, and works great. And she works with Lenka as well. So
yes, that's great. Such a straight coincidence here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to get
We're all
Lorna.
connected, aren't we?
Yeah. Buzzing from the bus in Spain.
So Lorna said, ring Conor.
Yeah. And that conversation kind of started me on the path to signing up for my NLP trainers training. I knew straight away, talking to you were so authentic. You didn't try and hard sell me. It was just, is this right for you? We had a great conversation. I think I phoned you back the next day and put down my deposit. At which point you put me in touch with Kallum.
And your life hasn't been the same since.
And then Kallum kind of took over. Oh my God, the support that I got from Kallum through that journey of trainers training was just incredible. But of course, my trainers training was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, you were due to fly down.
Never made it to Sydney, and
I
ended up doing my trainers training in a very cold conservatory in Nottingham in October.
In the middle of the night, right?
Overnight.
Yeah.
And that was
30 days.
Yeah, that was tough. you know, can have those 4 a.m. lulls where it was like I wasn't sleeping during the day and I'm thinking, oh my God, can I do this?
Yeah.
But actually, I can remember phoning Steve up one morning going, I can't do this anymore because I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
But that passion for what we do, that got me through. And I think that's, you know, back to kind of doing the dance business. If you've got that real passion, it doesn't matter what life throws at you, you can make it work.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
here we are now, co-training with Steve.
But you were training with me right from the very beginning, weren't you? But even before you booked the call to Conor at the end of 2019, we were on a master practitioner at the time, and I said, "Hey, you like hypnosis, don't you? Do you want to have a go at doing this next session?" So you did an induction, didn't you? And demoed that.
Yeah.
And
With about 2 minutes notice.
And then we did practitioner in January. And then we had another practitioner in March. And that's when COVID hit. And I kind of invested in Callie, and she kind of invested in us. So when COVID hit, do you want to tell the story, Callie?
What happened when COVID hit?
Well, we were working with the MOD, and they said Callie was due to go down and do some leadership training with them. And they kind of phoned up and said, can you do it? Can you do it remotely? So I said, well, Callie's the expert there, so I'll have a chat with her. I know she's been talking about using Microsoft Teams because her partner is an IT expert. So do you want to carry on with the story, Callie?
Yeah, so basically I was actually in the car on the way to Bristol to do the training and had to turn around, and we did our first remote training on Teams the next morning.
Wow.
And
Which
it
was
was
kind of mid-March, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
And no one had the cameras on. Because at the MOD they didn't have the cameras, they had them all disabled. So Steve came over to my house, or was sat in my conservatory running the training. It was very quick and dirty, but actually that changed our neurology about how we could train. So when we had lockdown, we were halfway down through a practitioner, and we were like, okay, well, can we do this remotely as well? And it was like, well, is there anything that we couldn't do? So we had to really put NLP into practice, that flexibility of behavior, to try and figure out how we did this slightly differently, but still keep it really engaging. And actually,
we got them in rooms, hadn't we? In a coaching section. So we knew we could do that on leadership training. So that was like, they were in a room coaching in pairs. And Callie said to me, so what are you going to do about the NLP practitioner? And I said, well, we'll have to wait until everything opens up. And she said, well, I think we could do it on Microsoft Teams. And we were lucky because we got her competence of it and the support of Matt, which loads of other people wouldn't have had. And so we finished off the course at 3 days, because we split our course. We do 4 days, then a couple of weeks later, we do 3 days. We stopped doing 7 days in a row stuff a few years ago, about 2018, 19. And so we got the second part, and we had a meeting with all the delegates, and we said, look, we're going to run it on Teams. Will it work? We said, yes, it will. We'll put you in rooms. We'll be able to come and see you in the same way we could if we were in a hotel or at our office. And we ran the first one in April, and we told Lorna we could do it, and that was it. We were inundated with people who were on Shirley, who wants to do NLP training.
Yeah. Was it a bit of say yes and figure out the details later?
It was, we knew we practiced doing it because we could do the leadership training, and we brought our own personalities into it. So, you know, I wouldn't have people calling it a call. They had to have the cameras on. They could bring their kids in if they wanted, or a dog might come in. And so it was just us being our natural selves, having a laugh whilst doing the training, much in the same way that we did it if we're in a room where you could smell people. And we didn't have to organise the coffees and the lunch.
Yes.
They did that themselves. So that was good. I brought an ironing board in one day. I
As
said,
a
I'm
prop?
going to be doing. I brought an ironing board in the end into the room because I was going to go back and finish a day off on a corporate training. So I said, guess what I'm going to be doing tomorrow? And I said, it's something I've not done for a few months. So they're all guessing, you know. So I brought this ironing board in. I said, I've got to iron a shirt for tomorrow.
Going
It's
into me.
just funny. So we're just very much ourselves.
Yeah.
Steve, talking about being yourself, you said something really interesting before. It kind of slipped by, but I think it's important to riff on a little bit. Was a lot of people who come to NLP, and I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, but this was definitely my experience and the experience of a lot of people I spoke to, was people come along to NLP because they feel stuck, or they feel at a crossroads, or they want to live more authentically. They want to find something that feels more aligned. But what you actually said was, it becomes this place or this modality or this experience that you get to express yourself. You get to truly express yourself for the first time. And linked to that, I think there's also this creativity piece where people get to be creative about the way that they design their life, about the way that they make money.
Hi there, this is Conor and Kallum from Konnekt Coaching. Hope you are enjoying the Unplugged podcast. Nothing lights us up more than seeing businesses thrive, especially in uncertain times. We have 32 combined years of doing nothing but mentoring and training businesses from around the globe in order to increase their revenue and thrive in uncertain times. So what we would like to do is share with you a little bit about what we've discovered over the last 32 years.
We've created this amazing business model called the Forever Business Model, and we want to give it to you for free. All you need to do is jump down into the description below. There's a link there called Steal Our Forever Business Model. Click on the link. There's a 9-minute video that you can watch where we unpack everything you need to know to implement it in your business right away.
It's almost a sovereignty that they start to build within their lifestyle because they get to live life on their terms. It sounds like it was a huge part of your journey. It was a huge part of Callie's journey, but I wonder if it's also a huge part of the way that you do your work as well, because you've got the 3 principle coaching method, and you know it's all about creating this rock solid belief. And if you didn't have a rock solid belief in being able to express yourself and being able to be creative and being able to live life on your terms, you wouldn't do it. So can you tell, just for the audience, just to get to know your body of works a little bit more, can you talk a little bit about, for everybody who hasn't heard of it, what exactly are the 3 principles, and how is it different to traditional coaching and therapy?
Before I do that, can I just tell you a little bit about, so what we realised was that I said to Callie one day, we seem to have a lot of people come on practitioner who want to run their own coaching businesses. And Callie said, I don't think they do when they start the course. I think it comes out after they've done submodality limiting belief change on day 2. And what we realized that people are coming to us because they're a bit stuck. They might have, like one woman who's done all our courses recently, runs her own successful construction health and safety business. And she's kind of looking for something. She's done all corporate stuff. She's now looking for something new, but she doesn't know what it is. So we've realized that that's the kind of people who are coming to us, people like we both were when we both went through that. It's almost like Adriana James used to talk about the grey zone, what Ted did. And I think a lot of people are going through that and then realizing that, they've got to values level 5. There must be more to it than this. And that's when they seem to come to us. So we had the idea of let's promote Prac and Master Prac as how to create a successful coaching training business. That's because that's what we realized we were doing. And we run monthly free mentoring sessions called Accelerate for our master practitioners to kind of help them on that journey. So 3 Ps came from that, really. We kind of got fed up with doing the Institute of Leadership and Management qualifications because they were driving the direction of the training a little bit, whereas we didn't run it like any other ILM centres. We first of all put, what the customers needed, and then the qualification kind of units followed, like hidden behind a little bit. And so a couple of years ago, I was just quietly sitting around, and I had this idea that wouldn't it be good to run something that follows on from practitioner and master practitioner? And I'd been following Jamie Smart for quite a while, who was an NLP trainer, and I'd kind of been in touch with him for about 4 years. I'd read all the 3Ps books, or a lot of the good ones, from about 2016, got it kind of intellectually. But I was kind of getting more of an embodied understanding. I thought, you know what, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to run a 3Ps coaching program, because it would be perfect to follow up from master practitioner. So I got all excited about it and tell Callie about it, who was really immersed in corporate leadership training at the time with us. And she said, do you know what? I'm fed up with doing silo stuff as well. Let's go. So I brought myself on Jamie's program and learned how to coach like he does, and also how Michael Neal does it, and how a lot of the older 3Ps guys in America do it. And realized I could do the same deep dive coaching, and I was getting amazing results just experimenting. So we had one woman who's a golf professional. She used to be on the circuits 15 years ago, winning women's golf tournaments. And she'd set her own golf coaching business up, and she came on practitioner. And then she said afterwards on Accelerate, she was on Master Practice as well. I'm just overwhelmed. I just can't cope with all this that's going on. So I just said, so when did it start? She said, when I did practitioner. So I said, oh, so it's Callie's fault. She said, yeah, Callie, it is. Again, I just got inundated with work, coaching, golf coaching, and mindset coaching after I did practitioner. So I just did some kind of 3Ps approach to coaching, which is essentially finding out exactly what's going on in their map, and then taking to, everyone has the capacity for insights, and that's what 3Ps is all about. Everyone has the capacity for insights. And we just went to a place where she just was like her true self, and everything just fell away. And I wasn't sure how long this would last for. So I kept checking in with her every few months, and I was doing this with somebody else as well, and other people doing the same approach on coaching, experimenting. And I realized I was getting the same results as Jamie Smart was. And I was about to start his program, but I went through all these pre-course videos and stuff. And I realized that I could do the coaching. So I explained to Callie how I did the coaching, and she was modeling me, and I was modeling him. And then one day she was talking to me about pricing, and she said, I think you've got a bit of scarcity around pricing. And I'm like,
Callie.
Don't know where that came from. And she said, oh, wow. And I said, it must be somewhere in my script, which like model the world. And I said, but I don't know how I got there. She said, why does it matter? And I just went, whoa. And the whole thing fell away. And I could not get my head around any monetary price at all after that. Because like I had in my mind a day rate for this, a day rate for this. 3Ps would cost this. So it all went away in a few seconds. Now I'd done limited belief change and timeline and my breakthrough day in 2008, and I thought I'd got rid of everything. But obviously I haven't.
There's always more.
And
Steve, before do you mind if I jump in? For those who are listening who may not know what the 3Ps are, we've referenced the 3Ps. Could you just give a brief?
Yeah.
What are
so
those 3Ps?
Essentially, we project everything from inside. So we don't view the world through two camera lenses. We're the projectionists. So we project everything onto everything outside of us. So if, like Callie and I joke about, her buying some new Jimmy Choo shoes because they make her feel good, but actually it's not the shoes that make her feel good. It's all coming from inside. So if we see something outside that bothers us, then it must be coming from us. So it's like perception is projection, but I don't think when perception is projection kind of came out in NLP, they kind of completely got it. You know,
I agree with that.
Everything comes from inside.
Yeah.
And so something bothers me, like if I see a car driving down the road and I think he's driving too fast, the reality is there is a car, but driving too fast, that's my reality because I'm projecting onto him because he might have a V8 engine in him. You know, in my model of the world, that sounds fast. So if somebody cuts me up in traffic, then I'm the one that's projecting onto him. He might have cut me up because he's made a mistake or something. So as the more we realize and the more we get an embodied understanding of it, the higher our level of consciousness goes. We see consciousness a bit like the values levels of player grades. So the higher our consciousness level grows, it's like going up an elevator. And the more we realize that everything is coming from inside of us, 3Ps, people call it thought, but it's not cognitive thought, it's your perceptual system. The more we realize that it's coming from inside of us, the less and less things bother us. The more we live in the present, the more that we kind of can connect with our true selves, the less our ego gets involved. And our minds become quieter, and the true resilience that we have anyway comes out. So we believe everyone's perfect. So when we're coaching someone, we're starting off from the, you're perfect. You have everything you need already. So it's not like everyone has all the resources they need. Everyone has the capacity to have insights. Therefore, things will fall away. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
And
So
I think
like you get sorry, go on.
Steve. I was just going to say, it's the three principles essentially. They're thought, mind, and consciousness are the three principles, but those principles underpin everything. They underpin NLP. They underpin life. It just is, and it's kind of how we experience life.
Is it spiritual?
It kind of is a little bit, but more in like mind is like somebody might call mind God. Somebody might call, but mind is like the universal source of energy that gives life to everything. But it's what we connect with when we're little babies and we learn to walk and talk. Nobody teaches how to walk or talk. And we kind of connect with this. We just learn how to do it by copying the adults and getting encouraged. No one teaches how to talk. We learn how to talk by copying and wanting to. So we kind of tap into this innate intelligence, if you like. So you could argue that, well, that's quite spiritual. And, you know, when kids go to school, they get taught everything, don't they? And it all becomes about the ego and stuff. But what we're doing is taking people back to their kind of true selves. So yesterday, one of our delegates on 3Ps had mouth cancer. And he said to me yesterday, this meat thing that I'm carrying around isn't me. Me is my spirit, my true self, which came before our script got filled up with stuff. By script, we mean model of the world. And it's about letting stuff go in the script that we see, that you would have thought people would have got rid of on a breakthrough day, the timeline therapy, but there's still stuff there deep down in this script that when we do this coaching, it falls away. And so we're still seeing benefits after nearly 3 years of starting. Well, we started learning in 2016, but that was with the books and some great books. but it's more in the last few years we've kind of got more of an embodied understanding. We're seeing the results, and we're seeing the results because now we've got our first cohort of people who are getting the same results coaching that we're getting, and also their minds are quieter, and they are living more as their true selves. They're setting their goals from their true selves rather than their ego.
Is it somewhat intuitive? You know, with NLP, for example, and coaching, you're sort of following a process as such. You know, you do this and then you do this, and if they say this, then this is this. The 3 Ps as you're describing it, I could be off, but it sounds quite intuitive from a coaching perspective.
Yeah, it is.
Less scripted as such.
Oh,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah. I mean, there are things that we might point out to a coachee, like we might say with a question. So you think your anger is coming from your mother-in-law or your husband? And then I go, and they get the insight, it must be coming from them. So there's some education involved, but through questions. And then we're pointing them to their true selves rather than their ego. So their ego is like stickman, and we might get them to draw a stickman. And one of the kind of people who learned from the originator, Sid Banks, who discovered this, I mean, it was always there, but he kind of discovered it. Jan, she said, anytime you feel angry, you feel annoyed, you feel scared, that's all your ego. And your ego is what you kind of learn in your script. It's not your true self. So it's kind of quite good, because if you kind of feel nervous about doing something, well, it's your ego. And the more you realize that everything's coming from inside, the whole experience is coming from inside, then you kind of, your levels of, you kind of go up the lift, if you like. So we see people describe consciousness in quite a woolly way, most people in 3 Ps, but it's just like Claire Grove's values level.
Yeah.
You know, in the UK 500 years ago, King Henry VIII was boiling people in oil and, you know, hand drawing coursing them. So their levels of consciousness must be very different. They were very values level 2 and 3. So it's very easy to map on the values levels onto, well, that's really consciousness. And whatever level you're at, you're going to see the world differently.
Through that lens, yeah.
So like in the UK, you know, homosexual acts were, you could be imprisoned up until 1967. We only had gay marriage in 2012. Now, you know, it's normal. It's kind of like, oh, there's 2 guys getting married and they're single. And it's like, we've changed. Our levels of consciousness have changed as our values levels increase. And every time someone gets an insight, their levels of consciousness increases. They kind of go up towards level 7 neurology. That makes sense. That's the way we see it.
I think one of the biggest differences between traditional coaching and 3 principles coaching, traditional coaching, I'm not talking about NLP coaching, just kind of grow model traditional coaching. It's very surface level. It's very outcome based. So grow model, what's the goal? What's the reality? Okay, let's look at options. What's your plan for this? So it's very, what outcome do you want to get? Let's get you there. Whereas 3 principles coaching is much deeper. So that's an insight-based model. So it's not about outcome, it's about insight. And when you have an insight, a deep insight, the actions will be probably quite different and much more congruent, and they'll just happen.
So how would you know when this sounds cliche, but how would you know when the problem disappears?
Physiology changes. So a lot of the stuff we've learned in NLP, like sensory acuity, we're using and we're teaching. So all the stuff we learned in practitioner about the deeper structure and the way things come out through metaphors, we're still teaching that to people on 3 Ps coaching. So listen to underneath what the words are. picking up on words like overwhelm or I'm under pressure, and really taking those words literally. That's all come from our ability to do that as NLP practitioners. So we bring a lot of those skills in teaching it, which is kind of course what James Smart does as well. You know, he used his NLP trainers skills to do the same thing. But you can tell from their physiology, and you know, when a problem's come, you know, we'll connect with them through finding that understanding their model of the world, and they kind of like, he gets me, she gets me. And we might just say, just breathe. And they go into that kind of true self space and nothing is going on. And then they start getting insights into.
So is it a series of techniques as such?
Nope.
Is it like a tool bag and you pull out which
No.
3P?
But there are things that we, when we're teaching the coaching, the first thing we teach them is to get the person's map of the world. So they say, well, what kind of coaching questions? No, you don't do that. Just ask questions so you understand their map of the world. And that's all you need to do. And have a knowing that they absolutely have the capacity to have insights. And you'll be okay. You won't know when they have them or how you'll get there. But then there are some things we teach on the coaching training to kind of give them pointers, like the person's experiencing kind of outside in. They think their negative feelings are coming from something outside them, or they think they're coming from something in the future. So like if someone was nervous about doing a presentation in 2 weeks, we do a switch, wouldn't we? Or a limiting week. But we might say, so your presentation's in 2 weeks. Where do you think the feelings are coming from? Oh, well, that presentation. So are the feelings getting in a TARDIS? You know, like Doctor Who and coming back to now? Yeah, they must be. Well, could it be the feelings are happening now, based on, you know, what your thought is, what your perceptual system is, your reality? Because your thoughts impact on your feelings. They're like two sides of the same coin. And they go, oh yeah. And they go quiet. And the problem falls away.
So the insights dissolve the problem as such.
Yes.
Is that, yeah.
Yeah. So I had the insight that my bit of scarcity was coming from my script. And I'm like, well, I don't know how it got there, Callie. And Callie's going, why does it matter? Just one. And then a month later, I realised where it came from, because my mum, every time I see it, she's 90 now, bless her, she'll say, are you busy? Have you got plenty of work on? And that must have come from like years and years and years ago, where she might have said, oh, we had an electricity bill, Tony, you know, how on earth are we going to pay that this month? And I probably heard that when I was like 10. And then she's kind of encouraged me to work and, oh, well, you know, you got to get a good job, got to do this, all that level 4 stuff. Then when you go out on your own, it's all very good. Well, you know, you don't have your own business, so, you know, you'd be fine. But, you know, you've got to get the work coming in. Are you busy? It's all in there. It's all stored in there.
That's installation.
Yeah. The beauty of it is that, I mean, we've seen people who've done timeline therapy on practitioner. And then we've done like a coaching demo with them on 3Ps and stuff that they've been banging on about for 7 days and done timeline therapy and all the other stuff. They're still, you know, telling the same story. And people tell the stories. And after a while, we don't need to hear the story anymore, because we know there's something underneath there. So we're focusing on what's in the deeper structure, not the story they're telling us. So
it's like the presenting problem's never the real problem, is that?
Absolutely. And so what we're teaching is to focus on what's underneath.
That's fascinating. In Connect and Convert, we teach the presenting objection is never the real objection.
Yeah.
In sales.
Yeah.
Something
And I
I'm
think that's why we've aligned so much with Three Principles methodology, because these are the principles that underlie NLP and sales and life. But they very much go hand in glove with each other. So for our delegates coming through that line of kind of starting with practitioner and starting to shake up those old concepts, and then coming through master practitioner, then when they've done that, so much has already fallen away that they're almost ready for Three Principles. They don't have to go through NLP, but it definitely, if you want to coach in Three Principles, is helpful, because some of the concepts can really help you when you're coaching one-to-one. But unlike NLP, where you've got the techniques, you've got your toolkit, and you're adding things in, the toolkit is just that perfection of your coachee and the perfection of yourself as a coach, and connecting back to that perfection. So it's subtractive rather than additive. You take all the fluff away and get down to that original.
It's like it's already there. It's like the metaphor of you taking off from the airport and it's all foggy and cloudy, but as soon as you get above the clouds, you've got bright sunlight. And like the bright sunlight's always there. It's just that it's been clouded over years and years of people giving you their, what they think is the best way to live your life and things to protect you, all level 4 stuff, but actually, blow that dust up. It's like if you've got a client who's looking at selling and they maybe have some limiting beliefs left a little bit, then they may have a little bit of a scarcity mentality. They may be concerned about, well, what happens if I don't get that sale? And you might say, well, it might later. And they go, because they've already been drinking that.
Yeah. Hey, they're off the hook.
It dissolves it, because you say, and then they realize that, well, actually, I'm okay. I've got everything I need. I've got everything, because they've already grown neurologically into kind of thinking level 7, some level 7 neurology. So it's kind of, it's really a lovely experience, in the same way we feel that lovely experience when someone goes out and doing some modality limited belief change. They go, wow, I could get a job now. I could set up a business somewhere.
The neurology shifts and they can start seeing it.
Yeah. Our number 2 values, both for Callie and I, is seeing people create the life or career they want for themselves. We both realise we've both got the same number 2 value. And so we get a real buzz from that. And we get the same buzz when they come on master practitioner, receiving growing care. And then we see them, things falling away when they do the 3 Ps, that even after a breakthrough day, there's still bits there, or new challenges come along, and we see them growing. And I mean, we've got, somebody doing yoga and hypnosis out of Bali at the moment, and someone else at tennis family from Mansfield who live in Thailand, and Meg's gone to the Gold Coast.
So that's life change. That's significant, changing in life's values. They just get up and move.
Yeah.
And probably living the best life they've ever had, and probably living freer and more in control and authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Her aspect to get in touch with her, because you'll love Meg. She's great.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, in fact, was it you who reached out to me? You said that someone was in. Yes, you did. Yeah.
Meg O'Connor.
In the Gold Coast?
Yeah.
Nice. So if someone wanted to, sorry?
I don't know how far that is from you. But...
it's probably from
always come as a visual construct.
London to Ibiza.
Yeah.
It's a long
That's maybe
way.
as far as it is.
And 2.5 hours
from the Northern Hemisphere, it's just, you think it's just down the road, but it's in Europe would pass about 8 countries before we get there.
It's probably further than Ibiza. It's probably it's probably like
Rome.
Italy or even further.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm
Well,
having such a
the
good
door's
time
open.
doing this, by the way. It's great.
Pardon me?
I'm having such a good time doing this. It's great.
Yeah, well, the door's open for Megan to reach out. So if someone wanted to learn 3Ps, if they wanted to get in contact with you, is it a, like, can they learn over a weekend? Or is it a certification? How does that
So
all
we
work?
do. So we decided if we were going to do it, we wanted to do it properly.
Sure.
So for me to get a kind of embodied understanding to experience it, so I start realizing that things are coming from inside on me. It took a few months. That was after 8 years of reading books, but kind of once I started getting it, then it took during the year a few months. So we decided to run 6 2-day modules from October for 8 months.
Okay. So it's an installation over a period of time.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
best way to
So
do it.
rather than master practical practitioner, it's shorter. It's over a period of time, which has advantages because it means that people can have a long payment plan.
Yeah.
Well, it's great because it means that we're more accessible because they can
Yeah,
do a couple
yeah,
of coaching sessions a month. We'll pay them monthly.
Do you find it aids the learning? Does it mean that they can
Yes.
learn over a longer
Yes,
period of time
because-
and the integration?
Yeah. So what we did was we got the course accredited by the Association of Coaching,
Okay.
who are, I think they started in the UK, but they're worldwide. They're in Australia as well.
Sure.
And they've accredited the course at their highest level, the Advanced Accredited Diploma in Coaching. And people have to do 60 hours of coaching.
Mhm.
They have to have us observing them for 3 times. So on module 2, we do it. Module 3, we observe them. Module 4, we observe them. And then we have to have coaching supervision sessions. So we do 4 of those. So all the time we're seeing their growth, giving them tips, telling them where to look, or you could have looked here, or you were losing a bit of connection with the coach you had because you're losing a bit of rapport. And then you came back next time, blah, blah. So we see them because we're observing them. There's 2 trainers, me and Callie. We have small groups and we can observe them. We do. The funny thing is, like, if you do master practitioner, like we're starting our 5th practitioner course of the year next week. I know
5th of the year, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's once a month. You do one a month, effectively.
Yeah, we
Pretty
didn't do April because we didn't do April, but we did January, February, March, May, June. Then we got July, August, then September, November this year. But we have small groups,
Sure. Yeah.
so we're not having like 90 people or something like that. We kind of maybe should do less and have more people, but we kind of like it the way it is.
Oh, it's great. No, it means that someone can train at any time of
Yeah.
the year, and it makes it really accessible for people to
Yeah.
join.
Yeah. And so with the 3Ps, it's accredited by the Association of Coaching at their highest level. So and then people can go on and become an accredited coach through them because they've already done the 60 hours of coaching, they've done the 80 hours of training, they have to do 2 small assignments. And we're used to people doing academic stuff because of the ILM. These are easy. I did one as a demo and it took 3.5 hours to write 2,000 words. And it was an evaluation of my coaching with feedback from the people. So the Association of Coaching aren't interested in academia, referencing any of that. They just want field to improve, people to improve their ability to coach.
Yeah.
So it's really authentic for us. It fits really well with NLP and Master Track. And it's just a nice journey for people to follow on from if they want to. But also we've had a couple of people who've come in who haven't come through quality culture and they found us on the website. They've been Googling 3Ps and we come up like 3rd in the UK.
So is it similar to NLP where someone would come along and do it for their own personal growth and the qualification as well, but people can still come along and get a huge amount of personal.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a psychiatrist who did prac and master practitioner with us, he might do coaching. He's doing it for his own personal development, but the vehicle we teach it is through coaching, because for them to get the embodied understanding, they have to be coached by another delegate or by us. So we do have content we're teaching, but a lot of the learning and development is through experiencing it through coaching. So it is a coaching program, but also you get personal development, you get the coaching, you get the ability to coach other people, and you get a massive personal transformation. I mean, I'll give you an example of a transformation I had. It was only a little thing, but my car, I have a new car every 3 years on lease, but I decided to keep the current car. And in year 4, it decided that it would start working altogether and just came to a halt on the road. And it was away at the Audi dealership for 4 weeks. And Callie said, "Are you getting your car back now?" I'm not sure when, they're doing some investigation into it. Now, the old me would have been, I've had 12 Audis from you in the last 20 years. I'm very important.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that. I didn't care. I'll fix it. Now, please don't come. I'm not going anywhere. And then, so nothing bothered me. It was like, I don't care. I'll negotiate on price and stuff. But it's not, I'm not bothered. It'll come when it's ready. And I know that the business will flow through to us because we're doing what we want, we've got the right energy, and people will go to other people in the UK as well as us. And they do it the way they want to do it, and we do it the way we want to do it. We've got the best NLP salesperson in the UK, in the world. So
You absolutely do.
Can't think who that is, Lorna.
Yeah, Lorna's a weapon.
And
So how could someone call Lorna to be in front of you two?
So if you go onto our website, so the website is nlpuktraining.com.
Okay.
All of our contact information is on there. You can read a little bit more about it, see some delegate testimonials, but you can actually book directly into Lorna's calendar from the website. So you can either give her a phone call.
Now, Lorna's a real person. This is not an AI bot, right?
No. She's not Lorna, definitely not AI. But you can see her. If you want to have a conversation with her, you can book that into her diary. She'll be on that call. You can book it straight in there, and Lorna, Steve, and I are so aligned. It's all about people, so we don't get you to talk to a bot. We get you to talk to real people in real time. But we're also doing a 3 principles taster session.
Okay, cool.
So you can book directly onto that through the website, or you can, again, just fill in the contact form, book onto that. I'll send you an invite for that one. That's coming up on the 30th of June. So it's completely free. 2
in 1
hours.
month. And is that online or live in person in Nottingham? Well, I'm assuming Nottingham.
It's online. It's
okay. So
remote,
anyone in the world, anyone in Australia,
in the world,
Southeast Asia, can zoom in.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Times for this?
Anywhere.
Times for the taster?
So the time for the taster, so in UK time, it's 2 till 4.
2 p.m. till 4 p.m. Okay.
So again, we can convert that, and let us know where you are in the world. We can kind of send
Did you say
the world
2 till 4?
clock.
2 till 4 p.m.
2 till 4.
All right, that's about midnight to 2 a.m. Australia time, or thereabouts, which is not. I recommend get up and do it.
We run one of those every month, so we think the best way for them to get us is to come and watch a demo, see us doing it, and get to know us. And the other thing is we've written 28,000 words of our new book on 3 Ps.
Oh wow! Okay,
that's coming out soon.
We did have a book that came out I had a book came out in 2018 called Become a Great Leader and Coach Using NLP, which Lorna's now altering slightly to sell on our website rather than just on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So
brilliant. Well, It's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, I've learned a lot from this. The 3 Ps, I'd heard about it, Steve. You had mentioned it, but I'd never really dived into knowing what it's about. And I really, Cal and I really appreciate you both sharing that with us. It's actually been we've been online for an hour and 10 minutes now. This is a longer podcast than usual, but it's just been fascinating to listen to what you're saying and how you're delivering the information. So if you're in the UK or anywhere in the world, I highly recommend jump on the website. What's the website?
NLPUKtraining.com.
NLPUKtraining.com. Talk to Lorna. Lorna's lovely. Say Kallum and Conor sent you. And
if you're watching the replay, it'll be in the show notes as well. So we'll have the details in the show notes.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Steve and Callie,
we've had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Well,
so
this is podcast number 49 for us, and then the second time we've done a Thursday evening. We normally do Friday mornings, and the second time we've ever had 2 guests in the one pod. So, really, really appreciate you both coming on and making the time to be here.
No,
thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much for watching the Unplugged podcast with Kallum and Conor from Konnekt Coaching. Hope you loved this guest this week as much as we did. Cal?
What we wanted to remind you of is that if you wanted to steal our forever business model, which is perfect for all sorts of businesses around the world to start to build extra revenue in your business right away, get instant access by clicking on the description and going into the link below, watching the 9-minute video where we unpack everything. See you next time.